Over the course of the last year, I've gone on a ton of crazy trips all over the world in search of some of the most amazing wildlife I can find. And during that whole time, I've brought with me my amazing hiking backpack. At this point, I practically never leave home without it. And so for those of you still walking around with a pocket full of loose test tubes, I'm here to show you how I build my ultimate insect collecting backpack. And so, of course, we have to start with the backpack itself. You'll notice that clipped onto the front are a few carabiners, which are convenient for carrying certain things, like this pair of entomology featherweight forceps. This is an essential for picking up certain species of insects, whether they have a harsh sting or a soft body that's easily crushed. I have my featherweights attached via a keyring to a bright neon green bracelet. This bracelet allows me to keep the featherweights handy at all times, and makes it much harder to lose them. Without something like this, it's a very easy tool to misplace or lose if you drop it in the field. My other notable insect collecting apparatus is my aspirator. This guy is a very useful tool for sucking up bugs and keeping them in a nice, secure little container. I have mine outfitted with a fuel filter along the hose. This prevents dust and other debris from getting inside my mouth. And well, out here in Arizona, it's very dusty. You can see that after a couple years of use, my filter is absolutely full of dust. I should probably get to replacing it by now. Now, this guy doesn't really end up in my backpack all that much, to be honest. I almost exclusively store this around my neck, so that I have very quick and easy access to it while I'm out hiking. So with the featherweights and my aspirator taken care of, let's finish up with the outside of the bag. For one, I like to bring a nice metal insulated water bottle with me, as, well, it can get really hot out here in Arizona, so having some nice cold water is always welcome. It's pretty easy for me to just leave my water bottle clipped to one of my carabiners. Also on the outside of my bag is some camping equipment. Many of the destinations that I go to look for insects are many hours of driving away, so I like to stay overnight to give myself a lot of time there. In this little front mesh pocket, I have a rain fly. Then on the left, I have an inflatable sleeping mat, and on the right, a hammock. These are held firmly in place with straps to make sure that they don't go anywhere. Now, those are a little bit more optional for most of you. What isn't is all the rest of the collection equipment. I'm sure you all are very familiar with test tubes and cotton balls. They're an ant keeper's staple when it comes to collecting queen ants and small ant colonies. They're also really useful for collecting other small insects, and in my opinion are an underrated tool in the broader entomological world. My backpack has these really convenient side pouches. I tend to keep the right one full of about 6 test tubes and a couple cotton balls. This setup allows my test tubes and the cotton that plugs the test tubes to be easily accessible in a moment's notice. Now, you all probably know that 6 test tubes is hardly ever enough, and so I like to store extras in this last front pouch here. When the 6 in my side pouch get full, I just swap them out with these ones. Now we also have to do something with this big bag of cotton, but let's not get too ahead of ourselves. I'll first be throwing these collection containers into my backpack. These containers are really useful for collecting various insects. I also often use old Greek yogurt food containers for the same purpose. You'll notice that they're actually the exact same size as this big clear collection container, and so they're effectively the same thing, except I get them for free with my yummy Greek yogurt. So now it's time to start filling the main pouch of my backpack. In go the collection containers, and then I like to put the soft cotton balls on top of everything. I also tend to stick a long pair of metal forceps in there. These honestly don't get used all that much, but better to have them and not need them, right? I've got the space for it after all. Now that's just about everything that you realistically need to go out collecting insects, but I tend to bring with me a little bit more equipment that I'll explain here. First off is pretty self-explanatory. I do a lot of my collecting at night, and so having a big bright flashlight is really great. Just make sure it's fully charged before you go out on your trips. And of course, this goes for all of your gear, whether it's this small portable phone charger or my huge giant power bank that I use to power my blacklights and charge all my devices. Speaking of charging all my devices, this little hardcover case is a real lifesaver. Inside I have a bunch of useful cables, a bunch of spare GoPro batteries, and I store my extra flashlight and the charger and battery for said flashlight. I also like to bring with me at least one wall plug and the charger for my GoPro batteries, although these don't fit inside the case. Now, all my electronics have a very special place inside my backpack. Now, my big flashlight usually just lives in the main pouch. It's easy to store it here long term when I'm not using it during the day, and at night I'll be constantly holding it, so it's not like I need to be putting it away in between uses. And in this case, that's everything we're going to be putting in the main pouch, so let's get it all clipped up. Of course, we're not quite done yet. The top of the backpack has a convenient zipper pouch where I'll be putting in my wall charger, GoPro battery charger, my charging case, and my GoPro and its head mount. Of course, this is all fun YouTuber filming stuff, so a lot of you probably won't be bringing a GoPro with you. Still, I'd consider it to be a pretty necessary addition to my personal backpack. I mean, this GoPro has gotten some really cool footage on some of my trips in the past, so not having it is not really an option for me, even if I don't use it on every single trip. Well, we are almost done. All I have left is the left side pouch. In here, I'll be putting things that I, once again, need to be able to grab very quickly. I actually just bought myself a set of pretty nice wireless microphones, so you can expect some of my field content to have better audio quality coming forth. What definitely lives in there is my macro lens, quite possibly the most important piece of filming equipment I have. It's kinda big and bulky, so I can't leave it attached to my phone all the time, so it lives in my quick access left side pouch. Now there's only one pouch that isn't being used, and that's the secret underside pouch. For camping and backpacking purposes, this is actually meant to be a place to keep dirty clothes separate. And when I did go backpacking in Mexico, I actually used it for this purpose. Generally though, it's a good place to store things that I almost never use, but are nice to have. For example, a plastic rain poncho and a mosquito net for my head. And well, that's it. That's everything that I bring with me to go collecting insects. Now, mind you, with everything that I listed, the backpack is far from full, and I can easily bring several days worth of clothes and food with me. Still, even if I do that, I'll usually bring them in separate bags and leave them at camp so I'm not carrying around a whole bunch of extra weight while I'm looking for bugs. Regardless, maybe I inspired you to go throw together a nice insect collecting backpack for yourself. Or maybe just ask for a nice backpack for Christmas so that next season you'll have something really nice to use. Regardless, I hope you've enjoyed watching, and definitely look forward to more videos where I'll be putting this backpack to very good use.